The member for Fadden has the call.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank the Minister for his update for the House. I thank you for his 3 previous updates this year, building on the work he did last year in keeping the House informed. I join the Minister, as we did on the first sitting of Parliament this week, to acknowledge the tragic loss of Sergeant Blaine Diddams, a Special Forces soldier, patrol commander with the Special Air Service Regiment, who had done 10 tours of duty across Australia's conflict zones, including 7 in Afghanistan. He was tragically the 33rd soldier to be killed in action on combat operations in Afghanistan. The 16th SOTG soldier killed in action. Since 2012, the beginning of this year, 21 further Australian soldiers have been wounded in action, 14 from strikes from improvised explosive devices. 234 Australians have been wounded in action serving their country since the start of combat operations in Afghanistan. We will not forget them. We will not leave a stone unturned to assist them. I note recently, a few weeks ago, on Channel 10, Matt Moran aired a story of Private H from the 2nd Commando Regiment, who was shot in the neck during the engagement that tragically saw the death of Sergeant Ton Langwinkle. What was disturbing about what Channel 10 aired was that Private H was having to pay for alternate treatment in terms of addressing some of his disability from himself, or indeed using on-unit trusts. This should not be. The Chief of Army has quite rightly noted that the system is not perfect and that there are some delays, perhaps too much red tape. This should not be. I simply commit the coalition this morning that we will ensure that every wounded soldier is cared for and provided every support, including alternate therapies, if needed. And I know the Minister is a man of great compassion, and we're working towards this end as well. I note on the 24th of June, MTF 4 handed over its mission to my battalion, the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, now known, of course, as the 3RAR Task Group. I commend the commanding officer of the 3rd Battalion, a classmate of mine from the Academy and from RMC Duntroon, Lieutenant Colonel Trent Wobbler-Scott. I wish him and his boys all the very best, and girls. In fact, there are many women serving with the 3rd Battalion, all the very best, as they seek to do their duty within a very, very difficult environment. It is an outstanding battalion. They performed exceptionally well during the mission rehearsal exercises. They are well prepared, they are well trained, they are well configured. They have the right gear and the right support. They're mentoring 4,000 soldiers of the ANA 4th Brigade through numerous valleys, hills, mountains and ravines. Be under no doubt this is a tough gig. They fight a tough and resilient enemy. They are training the Afghan 4th Brigade from a base that is good, thanks be to the great work that the previous battalions and MTF have done prior to them. It is still a difficult task. Recently, members of this House from both sides came back from the Australian Defence Force parliamentary program. Some in Afghanistan spoke very highly, not only of our command elements, but our men and women and the work that they were doing. High praise indeed from a bipartisan group that went over to Afghanistan. I note the Minister's comments on the 17th of July. Uruzgan province began or started the 3rd tranche of handing over. Command of the CTU is now with an Australian command element, noting significant US logistics still in place. All in line, of course, in transition with the Lisbon-Chicago summits and agreed with the Afghan government. I note the CDF's recent comments that most ADF personnel will probably be out of Afghanistan by Christmas 2013, in line with the Minister's statement that drawdown from 12 to 18 months will be predominantly complete for most of our force. I again posit the Coalition's contention that has been consistent for the last 2 years, stated by the government, that this will be a metrics-based, commander's judgment-led drawdown. We will come home, we should come home, when the training work is done. I'm pleased that from 1 July this year, the 205th Hero Corps, of which the 4th ANA Brigade is part of, assumed lead command for security operations in Regional Command South, of which includes 4 southern provinces, Uruzgan included. I note that the post-transition work is still being done. Again, the Coalition posits and agrees with the Minister that a kinetic element based on the SOTG will remain. We contend again that Australian forces, and I believe the Minister has made this statement previously, will join our US colleagues for what they note as Sandhurst in the sand, what I call Duntroon in the desert, and I still contend we should let our gunners continue to train in the School of Gunnery. Gunners like doing that, and they do it well. Clearly, as we move now 12 months out from an election, 18 months out from transition, Minister will need more and more information as the time gets closer as to how the transition will look and how it will be done in reality. I thank the Minister for his update on detainee management. I thank him for the work that the detainee monitoring team has been doing. 106 visits since August 2010 well assures us that the issue of detainee management is being well monitored and well supervised. I note his statement in the last 2 years that 1,653 suspected insurgents have been detained. That is a reasonably large number considering the logistic challenges of post-capture detaining someone and bringing them back for tactical questioning and interrogation if needed. I thank the Minister, as I have previously, for moving our detention in line with ISAF partners to 10 days. I also commend the Minister on taking action to extend the detention in one case by a further 20 days. As a former military interrogator myself, I understand the challenges in terms of interrogating. The Afghan soldiers are tough men. It is a good decision, if need to be taken, to extend the time period out to 20 days. It is a difficult decision. I'm sure it would have been the right decision. I note our enemy continues to use our open and fair processes against us, with 141 allegations of mistreatment in the last 2 years, 90% complaining about treatment at the point of capture. Can I remind the House that at the point of capture of taking a suspected insurgent who doesn't want to be taken does involve a modicum degree of force? It is not surprising that our enemy would complain about that modicum of force being used to detain them when that is not their stated intent. I note that no findings have been substantiated, that every issue of complaint has been investigated. I can only conclude, if I was to use the language of the Australian outback, that our enemy at times are a pack of whingers. Noting we have seen what they do to ISAF soldiers when they capture ISAF soldiers, brutally tortured and killed. That doesn't stop us from being fair-minded, open, democratic and accountable, and the Minister has certainly shown that to be the case to the government and ISAF's credit. Minister, I note it is still taking an inordinate amount of time to investigate tragic kill-in actions in theatre. The green on blue incident of the 29th of October has still not been finalised. I note the US routinely does this in 60 days. Previously, the Minister has said he would expedite this through extra resources. Minister, it would appear that this incident, now 7, 8 months, 9 months from still being completed, that those resources perhaps aren't yielding the result that the Parliament would like to see. I think it is fair to say that these investigations need to happen more quickly. If the US can conclude them in 60 days, there is no reason why Australia should be still taking 9 months. Minister, I also note that the government has 10 sitting days for the Minister for Defence personnel to respond to my disallowance motion in the House seeking to disallow the cutting of single leave entitlement travel for single members, 22,000 single soldiers, sailors and airmen and women. Indeed, the disallowance stops on Monday the 17th of September. It is important to state the Coalition will not allow the pay, travel or leave entitlements of our soldiers, sailors and airmen and women to be cut in search of a vain surplus. We have seen the impact of pride in terms of the disaster on our borders. We will not allow that to permeate into our ADF, resulting in the loss of entitlements. So, Minister, I say to you respectfully, please instruct your Minister for Defence personnel to schedule a vote on the floor of the House for the House to determine the cuts to single travel leave entitlements on or by the 17th of September. We cannot hide behind the CDF's coattails on this issue. It is time to vote. And frankly, I am keen to see where the member for Eden Monaro will vote. A man I have great respect for, sitting at the front bench across from me, I want to see where he will vote when it comes to the leave entitlement for single men and women, of which I believe you have a lot, sir, in your electorate. I'm keen to see where the member for Canberra will vote, considering she has much of defence establishment in Canberra. I'm very keen to see how the member for Wakefield will vote, considering he has the base at Edinburgh, on or before, Minister, the 17th of September. Minister, it will come as no surprise that today I'll be moving an amendment to the Veterans Bill to seek to stop any further debate until DFRDB has been fairly indexed. I note that the member for Eden Monero, I have been reliably told, and I'm happy to be corrected, Parliamentary Secretary, but I've been told that you've told a Veterans Forum recently that you may be looking to put a private member's bill to index DFRDB pensions, CSS and PSS. If I'm not the case, the Coalition will provide leave as soon as I finish speaking to allow you to correct that record if it's not the case. If it is the case, may I say to the member for Eden Monero, bring on the private member's bill now. Or more importantly, support the Coalition as we seek to stop debate on the minor amendments to the Veterans Bill coming before the House, and support us as we seek to index DFRDB. Either way, the choice is yours. Respond to my contention here. The Coalition will provide leave. I'm looking at the Manager of Opposition Business. Leave will be provided for the member for Eden Monero to point out that I am wrong, that he's not intending to bring it in, or indeed support the Coalition. Sir, the choice this morning is yours. But, Minister, thank you again for providing an opportunity to update the House in Afghanistan. You have been true to your word in terms of keeping the House informed. We look forward to further updates, especially now we are 12 months from an election. We are 18 months from the full drawdown, and we look forward to further advice and information as to how the drawdown will continue.